Welcome back. Time now for news from the left. And first up, Jussie Smollett is out of jail and back in the headlines, insisting that he's an innocent man and he never, ever lied about that hate crime in Chicago when in the dead of winter at 2 o'clock in the morning, a couple of guys came up and said this is MAGA country and put a noose around him and beat him up. And those guys ended up being his friends, who were also a couple of African men. And, all that was a true story, according to Jussie. He's still sticking to it. You got to give him credit for that. Take a listen.
If I had done this, I'd be a piece of
Yeah.
And I don't think that is that's not really questionable. If I had done something like this, it would mean that I stuck my fist in the pain of Black Americans in this country for over 400 years. It would mean that I stuck my fist in the fears of the LGBTQ community all over the world. Mm-hmm. I'm not that never have been, don't need to be.
Man, that's just, put that on a loop. That's just an amazing soundbite. He's an actor. He knows how to lie. He knows how to sell it. Can you even fathom saying that? Everything he just said, just incredible. Just wanted you to hear that because interesting interview. Next up, yesterday during an interview on MSNBC, the Washington Post's personal finance columnist, Michelle Singletary, a savage liberal elitist, telling Americans to stop complaining about inflation. Take a listen.
There's a great deal of Americans where it is uncomfortable that they're spending more, but they are not going to go under. You got to stop complaining. You still have your job. And yeah, it's costing you more for gas, but guess what? You're still going to take that holiday, that 4th of July vacation. You could still eat out.
Nice. The utter desperation to save her party from destruction in November is incredible. Can you imagine saying that with a straight face? You got to just stop complaining. Who cares that everything costs 10, 15% more than it did 6 months ago? That's sustainable. We can live like that. Stop complaining. You have money. Just shut up and deal with it. Next up, one high school in San Francisco is returning to a merit-based admission system following a school board vote there. 2 years ago, officials at Lowell High School, in the midst of the crazy summer of 2020, cited pervasive systemic racism in the school to justify their decision to change the admissions process to a lottery-based system. Lottery-based system. They seriously did this. What they ended up getting was, of course, nobody cares, right? Low test scores all around, more freshmen receiving 3 times as many D's and F's as they did before the school scrapped regular merit-based admission policy. Can you even imagine how crazy things, the way we went in 2020, how insane this country went is just staggering. And now you're seeing examples of it. Just throw away merit. And you know what you get in this country? When you socialize everything and we're all just sharing from one big pool and merit doesn't mean anything and hard work doesn't mean anything, exactly what happens was that. You got all these D's and F's, everybody stops trying. Go to Cuba sometimes. Everybody just wanders around all day long. Nobody works. Nobody has any money. Nobody works. Nobody cares. And you're just waiting for the dole. Give me my little bit of money. Give me my beans. Give me my rice. Next up, a major bank ditching liberal lunacy, I should say, for the Republican oasis. The Wall Street Journal reporting that Ken Griffin is moving his hedge fund, Citadel, from Chicago to Miami. In an interview back in April, Griffin told the Journal, if people aren't safe here, they're not going to live here. I've had multiple colleagues mugged at gunpoint. I've had a colleague stabbed on the way to work. Countless issues of burglary. That's a really difficult backdrop with which to draw talent to your city from. Now, Citadel is a serious company, controlling $50 billion in assets. They have more than 2,000 very well-paid employees. That is a tough loss for Lori Lightfoot and Chicago. Think about all that tax revenue going bye-bye, going down to Florida like everybody else. It's going to cost a fortune to live in Florida before long. It's going to be like the next New York. Everybody's down there. I'm so jealous. I'm stuck here in New York. It ain't fair. Moving along, on NBC's Meet the Press, political correspondent Betsy Woodruff Swan, her name, spoke about the January 6th hearings and confirmed something that we've all known. And God bless her for saying it. Nobody cares.
I've talked to two separate Democratic members of Congress in the last couple of weeks about January 6th. Obviously can't say who. And both of them have said offhandedly, nobody gives a bleep about January 6th.
Put it as a banner. Put it on a billboard on the highway. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a bleep about January 6th. Which bleep was it? We can all guess. You catch them all day long over at Fox News if you want to watch all of these January 6th hearings, by the way. Fox puts them up all day. 2-3 hours of just nonsense. Adam Schiff. I mean, the least credible thing I've ever seen. We did the first night here, and I was here to cover it, and we cut in every 5 minutes or so to bring people the real story and the real perspective from a one-sided hearing. And we said, you know what? Enough of this nonsense. We're not going to do it. Next up, a crazy reality check on just how unfit Biden is for office. A close-up snapshot of his notes from a meeting he had this afternoon. Take a close look at the picture here. I know you can't read it there. It's too far away on the TV. We'll get a little closer, and it's still blurry, but we were able to pick it up. During his meeting with wind energy companies, Biden was given this note card with a literal step-by-step instruction on how to just do the most basic things you've ever heard of. You can see some of them there. You ask Liz Schuler, President AFL-CIO, a question. Now, Liz is joining virtually. I mean, it says at the top, it says, you take your seat. You give brief comments. I mean, you depart at the bottom. You depart. You thank participants. It's the President of the United States. Can you even fathom if they would have found a card like that on Donald Trump? The calls for the 25th Amendment would have exploded even more. I mean, it's like you got a kindergartner running the country and nobody cares. What a place. Finally, Karine Jean-Pierre, the mouthpiece for this administration, on The View today. If you thought The View couldn't get any worse, it can. She was asked about Biden's lame gas tax gimmick, the 18 cents off your $6 gallon of gas. They tried to give her as many layups as they could. They threw her this one. This is the best she could do. Listen to this answer.
Is this the only lever the president has left to pull right now?
Anything helps. So what the president did yesterday and announced was something that he believed was straightforward and simple, is to suspend the federal gas tax and give that gas tax holiday to the American people.
Is this the only lever that the president can pull right now? Let me just describe the lever, the only one that he's pulling. That's my answer. Where's the answer? Where's the answer? Amazing. Finally tonight, time for some perspective. We've pushed news from left and perspective together, by the way. This is the new way the show's going to work. It is painfully clear that Liz Cheney is in trouble in her upcoming primary, but wait till you see how she's trying to keep her job. She's doing it by asking Democrats to switch parties in order to vote for her. I'm not lying. The anti-Trump congresswoman is papering the state of Wyoming with mailers providing voters with instructions on how to change your party affiliation so that you can save Liz Cheney, because Liz Cheney's always been a hero of the left. They love the Cheneys over in the Democrat Party. Ironically, many think Cheney should be changing her party affiliation, but in reality, it doesn't really matter in her world. Republican or Democrat, Cheney is an old guard government type. Cheney would rather have Adam Schiff as president than Donald Trump. And that's not a lie. That is not an exaggeration. Career politicians who are deeply tethered to Washington always knew that figures like Donald Trump threaten everything that they love about Washington. That's their haven. That's where they thrive. Trump-like non-politicians don't stand for business as usual in Washington. They don't approve of 2,000-page spending bills loaded with special interest K Street pork that nobody reads and then everybody just passes so that all their friends can get rich. That's why Cheney sits on the January 6th committee. In reality, Liz Cheney does have conservative ideals. I do believe that. Somewhere in her they exist. But she realizes partisan differences are nowhere near as important as protecting the swamp. And that is why Liz Cheney is unrecognizable in the last couple of years. That's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Eric Bolling is coming up next. You know him. Stay tuned.